And one last look at your traffic and weather from the Wetzel's Automotive Traffic Center here on your Tuesday morning on the game. Couple accidents to report. One at Hampton and Gregg Street, another one at I-20 westbound and 277. Two Notch Road near Longs Pond Road, as well as Two Notch Road near Beltline Boulevard. Guess what? It's going to be hot again today. High of 92 with a chance of an afternoon thunderstorm. Similar tomorrow, high of 90, and the exact same forecast for Thursday as well. It's traffic and weather from Wetzel's Automotive Traffic Center here on the early game. Nine o'clock on your Tuesday morning. Welcome in. It is the Extra Point. Tyler Ed and Jack Beltry along with you here on the game. Jack, I got to ask about the shirt.
Oh, so my shirt says you can't spell sausage without USA. Now, this is a shirt. It's a funny story. I was in Hoover, of all places, last year at the SEC tournament.
Sure. And
my good buddy from the state, Jordan Kay, came up to me randomly. He was working there, too, covering South Carolina for baseball, and just gave me this shirt. He's like, hey, I got this for free. I got one for you, got one for me. And, he gave me this. And it was the first thing I saw this morning. I'm like, yeah, I'll just throw it on.
Well, where did he get it for free at?
At the stadium. At the stadium. They were just passing it out. I think Johnsonville is one of the sponsors. So, yes. It's true. You can't spell sausage without USA.
That's very true. I never thought about that, but that is true. And I don't know. I noticed it when you walked. I think I've seen you wear it before.
Yeah, I've worn it a few times.
It's just like, wow, okay. That's the tone we're setting for Tuesday, I guess.
Yeah. I remember one time I wore this thing to one of the baseball media availabilities, and Paul Manera, nice older guy, is like looking at me. He's like, what does that shirt say? I'm like, it's a funny joke, sir.
You might have had to explain that one, too.
Yeah, probably. So.
Yeah, that's funny. But how are we doing today?
I'm doing good, buddy. How you doing?
Good. We are down to 40 days until kickoff. Nice round number. We're getting closer.
Man, are we tasting it?
I feel like we are.
You could smell it, I think.
You can smell it. That would mean 32 days until week 0.
Oh, man.
So we are almost exactly a month away from actual college football being played. Even you're a believer in week 0. You're not a denier like Wes.
Dude, we're going to have the game in Ireland, right?
Yes. You got Farmageddon in Ireland with Kansas State and Iowa State.
Yeah, I remember watching that game with Florida State last year in Tech. That was a great game.
Sure.
And those are big teams playing. Again,
we thought initially it was a really big upset. Turns out, not so much.
Yeah, by the end of the year, not so much. But look, man, week 0 is week 0, and guess what? Today, I believe NFL teams are reporting to older guys are.
Most of them are reporting within the next day or so.
Yeah.
Because again, Hall of Fame game next Thursday. Full preseason stuff starts the week after that. So yeah, this is where things really get rolling, and we're not all that far away from Carolina get rolling with camp the end of next week, I believe. Is that correct?
Yeah, I think it's the 31st.
31st would be Thursday.
Yeah, again, we have not gotten a legit schedule yet like we have in the past. So,
but it's typically at a month before the season starts. Well, so that would line up.
Yeah, I'm seeing people say 31st, August 1st. It'll be one of those days next week.
Either way, it's going to be at the very end of next week.
Yeah.
It's almost kind of like starting school back, right?
Totally.
Where you start on the Thursday or a Friday for some reason instead of just going full go the next week. But yeah, that sounds like what they'll do.
Yep, we're getting close. So
A lot to get into this morning, including people upset about Lenore Sellers being the first team all-SEC quarterback selection. Yes, that did happen, and we'll get into that in just a second. But it is 9 o'clock, and we always got to kick things off. Weather Sandstorm, pick me up.
Time to get hyped. Here's your 9 a.m. Sandstorm, sponsored by George Sink Injury Lawyers. Just call all nines.
And it's time for your 9 a.m. Sandstorm Pick Me Up, brought to you by South Carolina's largest injury law firm, George Sink Injury Lawyers. If you've been hurt in the car or work, call George Sink now at 803 all nines. Jack, we talked about the media poll and the SEC or the all SEC preseason selections yesterday. Was there anything at all that you looked at on either one of those lists that just had you frothing at the mouth and really, really angry? I can't believe people would think this. I can't believe that's the opinion of the people that voted. Like, unbelievable. Did it cost you sleep at night that somebody was somewhere on that list or not on that list, or somebody was ranked higher than somebody else?
No, actually, I slept just fine. You know, like a normal person, I slept just okay. So,
well, I didn't read too much into what came out of those polls, and more than a talking point, and fun to kind of see where people's opinions are when it comes to these respective players and obviously the teams before anything gets played in the SEC. But Matt Moscona of the Locked On LSU podcast, I believe Terry actually had him on one of the shows last week when we were out at Media Days, was very, very upset with Lenore Sellers being selected as the first team all SEC quarterback in the preseason selection there, and he had a little bit of a rant about that on his show yesterday.
When you look at the preseason all-conference team, the thing that I have a gigantic problem with is that the media voted Lenore Sellers as first-team all-SEC quarterback, Garrett Nussmeier second team, and then Arch Manning was the third-team preseason all-SEC quarterback. Now, I just got done telling you why none of this actually matters, but it still bothers me to my core, because what this illustrates is an egregious degree of lazy from people who actually do bother to fill out their ballots. And it's not just to say you have to agree with me or you're wrong. There's plenty of times I've been wrong. But sometimes when you're filling out a preseason all-conference ballot or projected order of finish, all you can go on, because nobody has even taken a snap yet, all you can go on is previous experience.
So a couple things here. One, it's really not that deep. It is nothing more than a projection. It's not the end-all be-all. This is not deciding who's playing, in the college ball playoff or who's winning the Heisman Trophy here. Two, and it's not included in that clip, but he said earlier on in his show he didn't even vote in the media poll. So
yeah, who is he to talk?
Can you really be upset with what other people did if you yourself did not vote in? It's like the people that, when we talk about presidential elections, they get upset with who won or who lost, and they're like, well, I didn't vote. Then it's like, okay, what ground do you have to stand on there?
Yeah, and then you probably got them saying, like, oh, my vote wouldn't have made a difference. Like, come on. Like, what is this dude yapping about? Like, we're picking at straws here over a preseason all-SEC vote. Oh my God. Of course I can understand why, Lenore Sellers is picked first team. I can also understand why Garrett Nussmeier should have been picked first team.
Sure.
Didn't we both have him?
Yeah. I had him as my first team, and I had Sellers second team. And I'll say I was surprised that Sellers did win first team, but at the same time, I get it. I understand how people could come to that conclusion, and his point there of saying it's all based off what has been done up to this point, I don't think that's true. What we're doing with this poll is we're projecting forward. So we're saying, okay, at the end of the year, who do I think the best quarterback in the SEC is going to be? Who do I think is going to be at the top of the league in terms of standings, in terms of the bottom? So we're taking a base of what has been done already, but we're also looking ahead and saying, hey, here's where I think things are going to stand after all the games have been played.
And he talks about last year being the metric to use for everything in this, which again is not fully true. You can use as a reference point of where guys are at, but to say that, did you not watch Lenore Sellers last year, dude? Did you not watch him and see what he did and how he just single-handedly carried South Carolina to some big wins kind of down the stretch, especially at Clemson. Like the way he's able to move around the pocket and just make some big plays. Like that's an all SEC quarterback right there. And look, I understand Garrett Nussmeier had a great year last year, threw for 4,000 yards. And if we're just basing it off of last year, I think everyone would be voting for Garrett Nussmeier, but it's not solely about last year. Yes, it plays a part in helping kind of decide who's pretty good right now. But at the end of the year, I do think we're talking about LaNorris Sellers probably being that guy that we're going to see live up to that hype of Heisman hopeful, top 5 NFL draft pick. That sounds like a first-team quarterback to me.
Well, and, you know, if we are going to go down the road of talking about only of the performance of last year, that should be an indication. He did say as well, he says, kick rocks with the stupid LaNorris Sellers conversation for half of last season. LaNorris Sellers couldn't hit water if he fell out of a freaking boat. And, yeah, he struggled at the early part of the year last year with completion percentage, you know, keeping the ball out of harm's way and those kind of things. But he also got better with that in the second half of the year. You look at his completion percentage and the numbers in those last 6 games of the regular season as well as the bowl games, 70%, 70%, 85%, 61%, 70%. His turnovers went down. Turnover plays went down. Like, he got better as the season went along. So shouldn't we base what we're talking about, if we're only going off last season, for what he did at the very end, the most recent examples of what Sellers did, not what he did at the beginning of the year? Like, I feel like you're contradicting yourself here.
Definitely. Again, the guy, I don't think the guy put a lot of thought into this conversation. I'm sure he's a nice dude, no disrespect or anything, but I mean, you should. I think some people should not be allowed to post on the internet, and I think this is one of those cases here.
And look, Matt, yeah, he works for one of the ESPN stations down there, and you know, Terry mentioned that he's given us a lot of advice with setting up the cameras and stuff here and how they do their shows down there. So you know, he I don't deny that he, you know, is informed and well versed in college football, obviously, but this seems like something very dumb to be this upset about, and I get it. We're in the middle of late July, and you know, we're all trying to find content to talk about, but I feel like this is kind of one of those classic situations of check the water. It's not that deep.
Yeah, like I feel like this is something I'd see on like First Take or something. Just something kind of a little bit overblown.
It's very message boardy, right?
Yeah.
Like if this popped up on the what's the name? The Bengal Tiger? Is that y'all's on 3 affiliate?
Yeah, the Bengal Tiger.
If this popped up on the Bengal Tiger message board, I'd be like, all right, that seems fair. But I feel like when you, again, really kind of think about it and break it down, it's not something that holds up as much. Because, again, in my opinion, when I was voting for these teams, I'm projecting forward on what I think these guys are going to do. I had Arch Manning as my 3rd team, all SEC, because – again, do I think he's going to go out there and win the Heisman Trophy? Not necessarily, but I think he's going to be good. So I'm projecting that I think he's going to end up being the 3rd best overall quarterback, despite the fact that I've seen a very limited sample size for him. If we're going purely off of sample size, then what, I guess Diego Pavia or DJ Lagway would have to be your 3rd team quarterback?
Yeah.
Like because Arch Manning just hasn't done enough?
Yeah, and, you know, I think that's totally right there. So, again, I have no issue with Sellers being first team. I know you don't either, Tyler.
Yeah.
But
and again, I was surprised it happened.
Yeah, I mean, same here, honestly. Because, again, we both had Nuss as first team, and it wouldn't have shocked me at all if LaNorris was second team. He's that good. Again, if you watch with your own eyes, you know how good LaNorris is. Like, it's not a surprise at all that he's so highly thought of by the rest of the SEC media members.
Do you think this is Nussmeier's bulletin board material for that game in Baton Rouge in October? Like, can't believe they voted Sellers ahead of me in the preseason SEC media poll.
Oh, God. I don't even want to. No, that just makes me cringe just thinking about it. Yeah, bulletin board material for a preseason media member vote. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Probably, though.
Well, it's upset some people at least.
Yeah,
so
this
again,
guy specifically.
I advise it's not that deep. And again, football's only a little over a month away, and we can forget about these things once we actually start playing football. But there you go. Sellers already upsetting people in the season. Hasn't even started yet. Speaking of quarterbacks, we have some potential new information on the Nico situation at Tennessee. And how has this changed our opinion of what Tennessee can be this upcoming season? We'll dive into that coming up next. It is The Extra Point, Tyler Head, and Jack Feltry with you on your Tuesday on the Game. Tyler Head here for our friends over at Twin Peaks. Summer is the time for saving, and summer is the time for splurging as well. Don't compromise. Coming to Twin Peaks all week and save big on some of your favorite food and beverage items each and every day. Summer savings starts today only down at your local lodge. Hey, guess what? Coming up on Thursday, it is National Tequila Day, and you can celebrate at Twin Peaks because nobody knows tequila quite like Twin Peaks. Life's too short to not celebrate National Tequila Day with top shelf spirits. Coming to Twin Peaks and order a tried and true classic like a house-made margarita for a steal, or kick things off with a Concoro margarita served over an ice ball with a tahine rim. All this and so much more with our friends at Twin Peaks, right down the street from us, each and every day here in the Vista. Welcome back in. Extra Point. Tyler Head, Jack Belcher with you on your Tuesday here on The Game. Jack, does it feel like the Nico saga was like a year ago now?
Yeah, I would say so. It's definitely felt like ages ago since that happened.
I mean, that was only 3 months. That was right in late April because it was the day before Tennessee's spring game when everything hit the fan. So that would have been April 20th or somewhere around there. 'Cause it was it the same day as – no, it was the week before Carolina's spring game, I think.
Yeah, it was during that month of April, though.
Yeah.
Sure. Because it was the day before Tennessee's spring game, I remember.
Yeah, because we heard the rumblings on Thursday. He doesn't show up on Friday. Then he's off the team. And then Saturday is their spring game, which of all years to not have a spring game televised, this is one I would have really actually wanted to see on TV. But, of course, no spring games get televised anymore, so we didn't get to see that.
Yeah, but, I'm sure Tennessee did their little 30-minute SEC documentary. And maybe I haven't seen it, but maybe Nico makes a quick appearance.
I actually haven't watched the Tennessee one yet. I'm sure it's already out so far. But I do wonder how that all, or if they just, scrubbed it. You know what I mean? Hey, we're not even going to talk about him. He's not going to be any part of this because we're focused forward here. They may have just scrubbed him from existence there.
I think I saw on Twitter the day of their spring game, the day after he was off the team, that they had they have stuff pictures and stuff around the stadium with him and stuff, and I think they took him down, which is very funny. And look, the whole situation was kind of just laughable, to be honest. And hey, he's probably happy now that he's somewhere else.
It's very much like when a couple breaks up, or no, it's not a public thing, but you notice wow, she doesn't have any more pictures of him on her Facebook anymore or Instagram.
Oh yeah.
Wonder what happened. They broke up, and she completely wiped any trace of those two together off the face of the earth.
Yeah, that's basically what this is like here. It's a really bad, ugly kind of breakup.
Speaking of the Nico situation, Kirk Herbstreit on a podcast yesterday revealed maybe a little bit more details on what exactly went down and why Nico and Tennessee ended up parting ways earlier on in the spring.
I don't know the true story. I've heard different stories. Some people thought it was about money. I've heard from close sources it was more about Nico's dad going to Josh back in December before they played Ohio State, hey, listen, you got to get better at offensive line and better at receiver. You got to get better around him if you want us to stick around, which blows my mind that a college quarterback's dad would do that to a head coach. And I think at the end of the day, when they got into spring ball, it was still more of you haven't brought people in to make him and this offense better. Again, I don't know if that's true, but that's what I was hearing. So I don't think it was necessarily about the money. I think it was more about, is Nico going to be able to play well enough to eventually be a first pick in the draft with the players that they had around him? That's disgusting to me if that's true.
So as we got further away from this, because again, everybody initially looked at this and what we initially heard was everything revolving around money, the NIL deal and all that kind of stuff. But I do remember in the days following that, there was a lot of reporting out there that it did have a lot to do with the structure of the offense around him. Because let's be honest, Nico struggled last year. He did not have a great overall season, in what was expected to be, a really strong year for him. Now, yeah, Tennessee still made the college ball playoff, but that was more on the strength of their defense than anything else. Dylan Sampson obviously had a great season at tailback. He's gone. You lose most of your top receivers from a year ago. So they weren't looking the best going into this year, but Nico was kind of their rallying point of, hey, you're number 2 with him. He's going to develop. He's going to get better. And now it's obviously gone. Again, Herbstreit presented that as he doesn't know for sure if that's the case here. I could see that happening though. Again, we talk about these NIL parents that feel emboldened to try and call the shots themselves, and looking at what Tennessee lost from a year ago and what they're bringing in this upcoming season, I could see, not saying it's justified, I could see how Mr. Iamaleava may look at that and say, hey, wait a minute, you're not setting my son up to succeed here.
I get it as a parent. I think it's just something where, obviously you want your kid to succeed, right? And you want the best for him. But the fact that, and I think it's very kind of crazy that, he's talking about, hey, my son needs this, that, get me better receivers, get better players on the field. Okay, but also let's look at the situation here. It's not like Tennessee's offense was awful last year, right? They had capable guys, I think, to help make plays. It's not like Nico set the world on fire last year. at best, and Tyler, let me know if you agree or disagree, he was an average quarterback last year.
He was. Again, they didn't make the playoff because of him. They made it because their defense was so good. And again, when you saw in that playoff game, he did not perform well against an elite defense like Ohio State. And not saying that he couldn't have gotten better this year. But again, kind of looking at it, again, you lose your receivers. You don't have a lot of depth returning on the offensive line. It would have been placed more on his shoulders. And I don't know how well he could have been. I do think, again, going back to his 5-star billing out of high school, I think all of us, again, when we kind of talked about these, media polls and all this kind of stuff, I imagine there would have been some people that probably would have put him as like a third team, maybe with the anticipation of, he's going to get better in his second full year as a starter. Not saying that's guaranteed or not, but I think as a whole, we'd be thinking of Tennessee a lot higher value-wise this year going in if Nico was still there, as opposed to it's not even confirmed if Aguilar's going to be the starter or not.
Yeah, but I think we can probably assume Joey Aguilar would be the starter, and I'm very curious to see how he does in this offense, because honestly, I think he probably would be at his low, like maybe not at a ceiling, but right around where Nico was last year. But I think he could be a little bit better at his ceiling. So I'm very interested to see how Aguilar looks in this Josh Heupel offense compared to what Nico did. And then let's see how Nico does with UCLA, right? I mean, haven't really heard much about him since he ended up transferring over there and things kind of ended badly at Tennessee. But I don't expect UCLA to be very good this year. But I wonder, is Nico going to be much better? Is this going to work out for him where he's the one that breaks up, has the ugly breakup with the girlfriend here, with Tennessee being the girlfriend in this case, and him moving on? How does that work out for him? Does he have remorse or regret, I guess?
Well, and again, so much of what happened here seemed to come from Nico's camp more than Nico himself. So again, I think you look at his dad and what was it, like the family friend that's not really an agent that was acting as his agent. I think they're the ones that put him in a bad position here. And again, when you compare the situations at UCLA and Tennessee, he'd be much better off at Tennessee, but he had to settle for UCLA and make less money through NIL in the process here. And again, I don't see an easier, because again, what Herbstreit alluded to there was allegedly Nico's dad saying, hey, my son has the opportunity to go to the NFL this upcoming season if he's good enough, and I don't feel like you're doing enough around him to help him with that. Well, you're not going to have any more help at UCLA based on what I see out of that team and how they've been the past couple of years. So you've inevitably made it a tougher road for yourself this year and potentially next year as well to get yourself to a point of being looked at as a NFL prospect.
I think this is just why you don't, and again, I don't know what goes on behind the scenes. I feel like Nico probably can't, I don't know. I don't know what to think of this. It's just, I don't know the whole situation in terms of, okay, is this really just his dad and his, family members kind of just taking too much power here, too much control? Or is Nico just not like speaking up about it and kind of just letting it go? Like, I just think it gets to a point where you love your parents and stuff and you want them to be involved in your life, but it kind of feels like one of those situations where it's almost like with travel ball and stuff, with those kind of parents that are just way too much in the picture, not letting their kid do their own thing and kind of just make decisions that they want. I mean, Nico is a adult at this point, right?
Right.
Like making NIL money and stuff. And if I'm him and I'm looking at this whole situation of how things went down, I don't know if I'd let my parents ever be involved in my business, because it's a business for him at the end of the day.
It is.
He's making money, and the fact that he would have made more money at Tennessee, and now he's making less at UCLA, and he's probably in a worse situation. Maybe I don't know. Maybe he wants to be at UCLA, but it's just he would be better off at Tennessee right now, I think.
So for reference, UCLA loses 3 out of its top two returning rushers. They lose their top 3 receivers, and they return no starters on the offensive line. That's a worse situation.
Oh, 100%. I don't see this going well for him. And again, I think there is going to be that regret of, man, like, I really left Tennessee for this. Like, the grass is not always greener, as we've learned countless times in college sports when guys transfer.
Yeah, so we'll see how that goes. Certainly something to keep an eye on this upcoming season. Yesterday, The American rebranded itself. What should other conferences do if they decided to rebrand themselves? We'll discuss that coming up next. It is The Extra Point. Tyler Head and Jack Feltry with you on your Tuesday on the game. Tyler Head here for our friends over at Canty Foundation Specialist. I gave you the latest weather update at the end of the 8 o'clock hour there. And guess what? Like every other day in the summer, there's a chance for a thunderstorm later on this afternoon. And if you have an open crawl space under your home and recently experienced a thunderstorm, you always have the opportunity for some standing water underneath your home. And if you've listened to me long enough on this radio station, you know that standing water in that crawl space can create so many issues like mold. It can invite pests like termites in your home. It can even affect the air that you and your family breathe, because about half the air that you breathe in your home comes from your crawl space. And the last thing you want to be doing is breathing in nasty, moldy, insect-infested air inside your home with you and your family. That's where Canty Foundation Specialists come in. Go online to schedule appointment today at cantycanfix.com. They'll send a professional out to your home to evaluate your foundation issues and get them fixed so you and your family can live without any worry going forward. Again, go online and schedule appointment today at cantycanfix.com. Welcome back in. It is the Extra Point. Tyler Head and Jack Beltry along with you here on your Tuesday on the game. Reminder, coming up on Thursday from 3 until 6, Jay and Terry going to have the postgame show live out at the Nest at 1331 Gadsden Street. Go by and hang out with those guys and see some of the great appliances that the Nest has to offer. Again, I was out there a couple weeks ago with Terry for the halftime show, and we got to see all that up close and personal, which was really neat. They quite literally had us sitting in the middle of all their kitchen displays. So go hang out with those guys again Thursday from 3 until 6 out there at the Nest at 1331 Gadsden Street. Jack, yesterday during the show, we learned that the American Athletic Conference has dropped athletic from its name, and they will now be simply known as the American Conference in an effort to rebrand themselves and I guess create a new identity. They've got a new mascot, the whole 9 yards going forward. And it begged the question in my mind, okay, if we're going to start rebranding conferences, which I feel like there's a need for a lot of these conferences to change their names, what would be some other good viable options to rename them? Like what, if you're going to rename the SEC, what would be a more apropos name that truly reflects what it is now? Because it's not really Southeastern anymore.
It's not. Yeah, that's the thing. And I don't think you could say like Southwestern either because again, here's the thing. The SEC I think is fine with its name because I still think of it as the SEC, no problem. I would even say I include Oklahoma and Texas in that, even though they are definitely and A&M and Missouri. Like Missouri's probably an outlier in all this. Like that's Midwest.
Sure.
A&M.
I mean, Oklahoma's pretty.
Yeah, it's pretty
Midwest-ish.
That's the thing, and I don't think there's a way in which you could do like both West and East in the name because that would kind of be. I don't know. What do you think?
I had Southeast Western Conference.
I mean that'd be. I was thinking
like a dash in the middle.
I thought the same thing too, but it just feels very elongated. I don't know what the better answer is.
You're going to learn in a second. Long names do not turn me away here because I'm trying to be accurate with what these conferences are. Because, and look, we all have to remember here, conference names are rooted in what the conferences were at one point in time. The SEC used to just only exist in the Southeast. Even when you like added Arkansas in there when South Carolina came in as well back in the early 90s, you're like, all right, Arkansas is not necessarily in the Southeast. We're starting to push towards the Midwest, but okay, close enough. Obviously, the Big Ten originally had 10 members. At one point, it was the Pacific 8, it was the Pacific 10, and the Pacific 12. Now it's just 2, which we'll get into that here in a moment. The Big 12 used to have 12 members. The ACC used to exist only on the Atlantic coast, which is no longer the case anymore. So I do feel like there's a lot of name updates necessary for these conferences if they're going to fall in line with what the American did yesterday.
No, they have to. They have to. And speaking of the ACC, because, again, the ACC makes no sense with the Atlantic. Again, it worked for a time with the Atlantic, but now you have teams that play on the Pacific. So how do you...
Well, you also have a team in the middle of the country in SMU.
Yeah, that's right. So, and it's not, I don't know, like, originally, I was just thinking, like, how about the All Coast Conference? Like, but that just also doesn't. I don't know. I don't know how you cater.
Okay, but Texas is on the Gulf Coast, that could work. The All Coastal Conference.
The All Coastal Conference, which kind of sounds like I don't know, like one of these preseason media things that we vote on, like the All Coast Conference.
Because I mean, there's no other coast. That's the 3 coasts that America exists on, the Pacific, Atlantic, and the Gulf. Yeah. So, I mean, you're touching all of them.
I guess, yeah.
It'd still be the ACC at that point in time.
Exactly, and you don't have to change the name.
You have to change, or don't have to change the
acronym.
The acronym.
Yeah.
That could work. I also threw out there, where do you fall on numbers in conferences? Yay or nay? Because I feel like we need to abandon them at this point.
You got to abandon them because, again, the Big Ten is no longer the Big Ten.
Nope.
It's literally the Big 18.
It's Big 18. Big 12 is the Big 16 right now.
Yeah.
The pack is all screwed up. But if we're gonna go with numbers, sticking with the ACC, how about the Coastal 17.5? So because you have 17 football members.
Yeah.
And you have Notre Dame, who is an active member in every sport but football, but they also play a predominantly ACC schedule, though they're not in the running for the conference championship. So, like 17 and a half, I feel like it's pretty appropriate.
I like it. I think it's very fitting. So I like it.
Here's another one I had for the Big Ten, which, okay, we could go easy and go Big 18, but I wanted to get a little more creative with it. How do you like the connected 11 and additional 3? How's that sound? So when you look at the Big Ten from Piscataway, New Jersey, all the way over to, I guess, Nebraska, all those states touch each other, right? So you have a connected line of states that touch each other, and then you have this big gap, and you have Washington State, Oregon State, and then the state of California for the 4 other teams. So you have 11 connected, which, like, connectivity in conferences is big for me. And that's something that the SEC still has going for it, is at least all the conferences form together and touch each other, that I don't think any other, certainly not the power conferences, can lay claim to right now.
Mm-hmm. I would say with the Big Ten, again, I think simplicity is key, and I like the name. I do like it. I think it's just something simple like the cross-country conference.
Okay.
I don't know, because, again, the Big Ten is literally spread out.
The Big Ten is truly coast to coast.
Yes. I would say the Big Ten, the ACC, are those conferences that are spread out all over the place, especially the ACC, with SMU being in Texas and stuff, and then you have the West Coast teams. Again, these conferences make no sense now, to where it's like, what the name is supposed to mean has no meaning. Like, it's just, I don't know. I mean, I think you got to change it at some point. And the last thing we'd want, though, I think, with any of these name changes would be, I think the Big 12 was the one that talked about doing the All-State sponsorship, which would be like the All-State 12 or something like that.
Well, at that point, why even keep the 12? Just become the All-State conference.
Just get rid of it. Yes.
Yeah. Which I feel like All-State would actually be a fitting name, because let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, I think 10 different states are represented in the Big 12 now, which contains 16 teams.
Yeah. I mean, I think that would honestly work pretty well. So, yeah, I feel like the group of 6 schools have these names a lot more down pat. And the key, I think, for them is not having numbers.
Not having numbers, and I mean, like Conference USA does not tie you to a geographical region.
No.
Sunbelt kind of does, but that's a little more fluid.
Yeah.
The MAC, Middle America, that can mean anything. You know what I mean? Mountain West is very specific because you're talking about the mountainous states, which that's about to split and like become half of the Pac-12, which is its own thing. Am I leaving anybody else out here?
I think there was one other. We have the American.
Conference USA, Sunbelt. Okay, the American. I left out the American.
Yeah, the American.
Which, again, we already talked about that.
The AC.
The AC, the air conditioner conference.
The air conditioner conference.
See, now we need a rival conference that's DC, so you can have AC versus DC.
Ah, I love it. I love it.
There we go.
Yeah, I just think, again, acronyms are way better. Or just honestly, just no numbers. Like,
yes.
Because then you avoid the headache that is, okay, the Big Ten has 18 teams.
Here's my thing is, like, if somebody was brand new to college football, college sports in general, and you introduce them like, hey, this is the Big Ten. Oh, they have 10 teams. No, they have 18. Why are they called the Big Ten? Well, they used to have 10. Then they had, like, 11. They had 14. Now they have 18. Well, why don't they change the number? Well, it's tradition. You can't really change the number when it's tradition. Like, it's confusing.
Yeah, it really is, honestly. It's just, for the average viewer, it just makes no sense. And then you have to explain it, and we don't probably even know the reason why. It's like, expansion.
Yeah.
That's literally it. So.
Yeah, pretty much. And who knows when these numbers are going to stop? Let's be honest here.
Yeah, we're going to go to 20 and above.
Speaking of numbers, I believe we are set to see the oldest active player in Major League Baseball take the mound here coming up in a couple days. We'll talk about that coming up next as we wrap up today's edition of The Extra Point. Tyler Head and Jack Beltry with you on your Tuesday on the Game. Welcome back in. It is the Extra Point. Tyler Head and Jack Belcher wrapping up hour number 1 here on your Tuesday on the game. Coming up next in the Garnet Trust Hour, brought to you by Krantz Cooling and Heating. You can hear Chris Clark's conversation with Nolan Hay, transfer offensive lineman for the Gamecocks from Incarnate Words. Again, that's coming up next at 10 o'clock. Some news yesterday in Major League Baseball. Rich Hill, pitcher for the Kansas City Royals, is being called back up to the majors. Why is this significant? Because it is his 21st consecutive season playing in the majors. At the age of 45 years old, he will automatically become, once again, the oldest player in the league that's still active.
Yep. So, for reference, Rich Hill, born in 1980, and this is now his 14th big league team. So, that is tied for the most with fellow 14-team player Edwin Jackson, who is perfect for the Immaculate Grid, and that is what Rich Hill now is,
he
too.
He could fill out the entire Immaculate Grid himself.
Oh, pretty much. You have these two in your mind, you could easily fill out the Immaculate Grid with them. So,
he is 3 years older than Justin Verlander. As of right now, because do we know what day he's starting for the Royals? Do we have a game yet?
So, let me pull this up, but I would imagine it's going to be, within the next few days here probably, but yeah, not exactly sure yet, but again, he's on the team now, so he's, once he makes an appearance, he's actually starting today.
Okay, so
against the Cubs at Wrigley.
I see that.
Which ironically is where he started his big league career and the 14-team journey to get to this point.
And he made his debut in June of 2005. Today pitching, he'll be pitching at the age of 45 years and 133 days. That makes him the 35th oldest player in Major League Baseball history to ever play a game.
It's crazy. And you're probably wondering, how is Rich Hill still pitching to this day? And we see this with a lot of older guys that do not throw hard, but they have the good off-speed stuff. That is how you extend your career, right? Because at some point, the 95-mile-per-hour fastball you threw when you were in your 20s is going to slowly decrease. We've seen it all the time. And as a pitcher, you have to be able to adapt and change your game. And you could still throw the fastball, but I'm sure Rich probably throws about 90, maybe low 80 or high 80s. But you have to have good off speed, and that's what's been able to keep him around so long.
Looking at the numbers here, so last year when he was with Boston, he just came in for a couple of relief appearances. The last time he started a game was when he was with the Padres back in 2023. He's been primarily a starter for most of his entire career, but looking at, and you mentioned 14 teams, looking at his stat rundown here and just all the different names and colors represented, he is the spitting definition of what a journeyman is.
Oh, yeah. I mean, we joke about guys being able to fill out like the rainbow of different jerseys they've worn throughout their career. I'm sure if you really dig deep, Rich probably could fill out the rainbow and probably a few more other colors too. I mean, it's insane. You see you on his baseball reference, and they have all the jersey numbers that he's worn throughout his career. You have like 53, 51, 57. I forgot he was a Yankee. He was a Yankee in 2014. I totally forgot about that. So many different colors on here.
He has spent, it looks like a majority of his career in the AL East, so multiple stints in Boston, one stint with the Yankees.
He was with the
Tampa
Orioles.
Bay, with the Orioles. Yeah,
all he needs is Toronto to complete out the AL East.
Toronto's the one team that in the AL East that he has not been with. Again, started his career with the Cubs, who he's pitching against today, a couple years with the Dodgers. So you talk about, like, I was looking this up last night, like Ellie De La Cruz was like 2 years old when this guy made his MLB debut.
Oh, yeah.
Which is crazy.
You're having guys getting drafted right now
that weren't alive.
That were not alive. Like, it's honestly insane just to think about how guys are able to last this long in the MLB. And we rarely see this now with guys at his age.
And you mentioned, being a lower velocity kind of guy. I do wonder if this kind of stuff's going to become even rarer going forward because everybody's throwing high velocity stuff, it seems like, and, getting Tommy John surgery when they're 17 years old. I don't know if guys are going to be lasting this long as pitchers, 10, 15 years from now.
God, do you remember Jamie Moyer? He pitched years ago, like early 2010s with like the Phillies and stuff. He played till he was 49, which was insane. So he had a 25-year career. I mean, how long do you think Rich Hill lasts? Like, do we think this is it?
Man, I'd keep going as long as I could, right?
Because, again, if you have the good off speed, you can probably last closer to 50, I would think. But,
sure.
Because, again, these younger hitters, they're still learning. So
honestly, he only was a relief last year. 3 2/3, only gave up 1 hit and 2 earned runs, which, again, that's a very small sample size, but he was doing something right.
Yeah, so, again, he'll officially make it another season with the start tonight. So
there you go. So that's happening tonight with the Royals and the Chicago Cubs. That'll do it for the Extra Point. Coming up next, again, the Garnet Trust Hour brought to you by our friends over at Krantz Cooling and Heating. Chris Clark sitting down with Nolan Hay, transfer offensive lineman for the Gamecocks, up next here in the game.
All right, welcome in, Chris Clark. Along with you, joined today by another Gamecock football athlete. It is Nolan Hay, transfer from Incarnate Word. Nolan, great to have you, man. Appreciate you coming in and joining me. I know y'all got a lot going on right now, even though it's the summer, right in the midst of summer workouts. How's everything going?
Yeah, I really appreciate you having me on. I've had a great time since I've been here. My girlfriend and I we both moved over here probably about a month ago now, I think, maybe a little more. But no, I mean, we've had a great time. Workouts have been a pain, but that's part of it. So just gotta embrace the process. I mean, that's how it is.
Yeah, for sure. Well, yeah, we got a lot to get into, man, because you were telling me before we hopped on here, this is your first radio interview. You're doing great so far. You'll probably do better than I do. And, an opportunity to get to know you, because this is you're going into your first year in this program, but you've been around, obviously, the college game a while. You've been through high school recruiting, you've been through the portal, and just get to know you a little bit off the field as well. So let's start there if you want. Mm-hmm. Tell us a little bit about Nolan Hay, the person. We'll get into the offensive line stuff, but tell us a little bit about you and your background and just kind of what you like to do.
Yeah. So I was born in Katy, Texas. So that's probably 20 minutes outside of Houston.
Yep.
It's a big football area. I think there's 13 schools in our district. And that's not including Houston ISD and Sugar Land ISD. And so Katy alone, I mean, I know Katy Tigers are usually the team that's brought up when you think of Katy, but I did not go to that school. I was their rival, and we got our butts kicked all the time. But no, I mean, it's all right. I went to a school called Katy Taylor, and it was during the time when I was there, it was a pretty good football school. Now they've gone downhill, but I was playing with a guy named Hayden Connor and a guy named Bryce Foster. So Hayden he just got drafted by the Cardinals. Mm-hmm. And he kind of took me under his wing when I was pretty young, and he taught me basically everything I know now. I mean, I wouldn't say everything, but the way I process things is really because of him. He's a really smart dude. He went on to UT. And I don't know what his GPA was. I'm sure it's near 4.0. He's insane. I think he went for NASA or something. I know he wanted to be the biggest person to ever be in space. It was hilarious. But he was a big part of my journey growing up. And then Bryce Foster, he's now at Kansas. He went to A&M out of high school, and he was a stud. And I learned more of the physical aspect through him. But that was kind of my time in Katy. I think I was under-recruited, especially because I played with them. I know they were young or older than I was. So I thought it kind of hurt seeing them go to these SEC schools. And I was getting recruited by small FCS schools. And, I went to Houston Christian out of high school and graduated in 2022. I was at Houston Christian for 2 years. I started there my freshman year. I played the first 8 games, and then I had a concussion, so I was out for the last few games. We were terrible. I think we went 2-10 that year. It was really bad, but I really enjoyed the people there. The people there are very good people, and I really liked the university too. It was very tiny, compared to here. This place is massive compared to both the schools I've been to. Both schools are so tiny. But I was there for 2 years, and the second year, so the first year I played left guard the entire time, and then my second year I played center for the first 4 games. And all the way up to we played Western Kentucky, and we got our butts kicked. And our right tackle got pretty embarrassed, and so they moved me to right tackle. And I played right tackle the entire rest of the year. I think that was actually, it's kind of sad. It was our best year in program history at I think it was 6-5 or 7-5. It was rough, but it was a really fun season because we're breaking all these records for the program. So I finished that year, and it's actually pretty cool. My older brother, so I have two older brothers. I have a 26-year-old his name's Connor, and then a 23 now. He's 23, and his name is Braden. But I got him to come to Houston Christian my sophomore year, and he transferred like 4 times. So he had to sit out a year during that time. And so he was playing scout team against me, and he's like a linebacker, but he moved to DN so that I could play against him and stuff. So it was really fun. And then so I ended up transferring to Incarnate Word, and my brother ended up earning a scholarship at Houston Christian. And I don't know if you know or people who are going to watch this and stuff, but Houston Christian and Incarnate Word are in the same conference. Mm-hmm. And so we ended up playing my brother, and I got to go up against him and stuff, and it was really fun. Our family came out, and he had gotten by me on one of the plays, and it was really crappy, look on me. And he looked at me, pointed at my family, started laughing. I was like, "You did not just do that! I cannot believe it." But it was fine because we ended up winning 56-14. So we killed him. But I played right tackle the entire time I was at Incarnate Word. I switched at right guard sometimes because we wanted to develop the second string right tackle. So being able to move around has really helped me in my journey. But we ended up going to the 3rd round of the playoffs. We played South Dakota State at South Dakota State. That was the second time we played them that year. We lost. It was pretty bad the first time. We had them in the 3rd quarter. Then we had an interception and a fumble back to back, and so it killed the momentum. And then we ended up losing. But we ended up having a rematch, and it was awful. I mean, it was the coldest game I've ever played, and it was we went and practiced there the day before, and the practice was of -7 because of the wind chill, and it was awful. And so game time comes around, and I think it's 17 degrees. And being from Texas, I mean, you never see that unless it's some sort of crazy storm in Texas. And so it was awful. And so I couldn't feel my toes, and I regretted not wearing. They have toe warmers now that you put in your cleats, and I regretted not putting any in. So I kind of had to suck it up. But we got our butts kicked, and I had a great time with all the coaches there. And then so we finished that probably December 17th, around that time, I think. And so we all went off to winter break, and found out that my offensive line coach got a job at Tulsa, and I think he's gonna be the offense coordinator. And so I was so happy for him because his journey was pretty crazy, and for him to finally be able to call plays, it's very, very. I'm very proud. I'm very happy for him. But I ended up staying because I just felt like entering the portal during that time, I wanted to be in there for a while, so that I don't pick a place so quickly, because when I first entered the portal to transfer to Incarnate Word, our head coach, it was Braxton Harris at the time, and he's now at Campbell, but he left us December 31st, and so we had a week in the portal, and I didn't get the chance to go and visit places and go talk to any of the coaches. So Incarnate Word was right down the road. I mean, 2 hours from my house. And so I just felt like if I were to enter the portal this time around, that I wouldn't have much time to go visit these places I wanted to. So, and our head coach decided to stay another year at Incarnate Word. And so I really envy him. And so I was like, I'll run it back. And then while we're going through spring, our offense coordinator gets a job with the Raiders. And, I mean, nobody could blame him for that, because, I mean, I think anybody at his level would want to go up to the NFL. And so that's what this is all about, is to get to that next level and stuff. And so I was really happy for him, and it really questioned things with some of our star players. And then when it came time to enter the portal again, me and a few other guys talked about it, and some of the other guys that entered, I mean, DeKalen Taylor is now at Colorado, and then Roy Alexander is now at Texas Tech. And so, us three entering, it was a pretty big deal. And so when I entered the portal, I really wasn't expecting USC to hit me up. Like, I was really thinking I was just going to Big 12, because that's already a big jump from FCS. And I was thinking Baylor maybe, because they're not too far from Houston. And then there was Oklahoma State was a really big one that I actually went and visited, and I had a really good time over there. But then when USC hit me up, I was like, that's a big deal. And so I was like, immediately I have to take a visit up here. Like, I visited Oklahoma State first, like a week before USC, and I was like, I can't make a decision without seeing USC. And it was the greatest decision I made. Like, the second that my girlfriend and I came up here, I mean, we loved it. Like, all the people were very nice, very accepting, and they made it feel like home away from home. I mean, we're 20 hours away from Texas. That's how long the drive was to get over here. And so we really did have a great time, and I felt like this was the place that I would want to call home for the next year, maybe 2 years if I have to end up redshirting or whatever the deal is. But no, we're excited to be here, and we're happy that we decided to come here.
Going to take a quick time out here, and then on the other side, going to chat more with Nolan Hay from Gamecock Football. Be right back.
All right, folks, let me tell you about our friends over at Integrated Media. The beautiful thing about it is you can take your dreams for that home, make it a smart home, dreams for your man cave, dreams for the living room, and they can take whatever you're thinking about and then just turn it into a reality. You can hit them up today, integratedmediainc.com, or give them a phone call. It is 803-948-8327. Their services include basically anything to do with your TV, your surround sound, your smart home services, or securities and cameras. If you work from home, for me, it was all about my home office. Didn't really have a great connection to the Wi-Fi. Needed hardwired internet, so they came in. They ran Ethernet throughout the home into my office, into my wife's office, and made sure we had a great connection there. And then we went a step further with whole home Wi-Fi. They can also hang TVs. They can hide the wires for you, and they can go all in on that man cave too. Hit them up today. Again, for more information, integratedmediainc.com.
All right, welcome back into the game. It's Chris Clark hanging out here with Nolan Hay. South Carolina football, transferring in from Incarnate Word out of Katy, Texas originally. And Nolan, fascinating stuff just hearing about on that last segment, you know, just your journey to get here and growing up in Texas, going to a couple smaller schools, and now here at South Carolina, and a lot more ground to cover. But you mentioned that Houston Christian and Incarnate Word were a lot smaller. Like how much smaller than South Carolina in terms of school? Like way.
Man, it is. I would every time I talk about this with someone, I always do this. I'm like, if you take the campus of Incarnate Word and the campus of Houston Christian, you combine it, that's probably still not as big as here. Like, it's crazy. Like, and this even isn't the biggest campus that you could find, but even then it's like,
yeah,
it's very like Houston Christian, I would walk everywhere, and Incarnate Word, maybe I would drive my car over to the facility, but even then you could walk there and be there in like 5 minutes. I could not do that over here. Like, it's very different, but I just need to get to know the area a little bit better, and then I think I'll really realize that it's not so intimidating.
Yeah. I mean, it is. I've been to some other college campuses. I went to USC, you know, years ago, of course, at this point, and you know, it is a little bit more spread out. Like, it's not as condensed as a lot of campuses. But I actually just looked it up, by the way, while we were on here. Houston Christian last year enrolled a record number of students, but it was 4,200 or so. And South Carolina last year, their enrollment was 38,000. So
yeah,
it's a good bit.
Good old Houston Christian.
So, did you know anything at all about South Carolina before you took the visit here? I know you mentioned, like, hey, when they reached out, I knew I needed to go visit. I couldn't make a decision until I went and saw South Carolina. But did you know anything about the program?
I knew some things. Like, I'm from Houston, or like people say Katy and Houston's different. So I'm from Katy, right. But I grew up a Texans fan, and so I knew Jadeveon Clowney. I knew he was a big deal, and so South Carolina I've always like known South Carolina because of Jadeveon Clowney. But as far as like the program over the past few years, I mean, I will say last year they really caught my eye, and it was really because my offensive line coach had sent the entire offensive line room a video of Dylan Stewart. And we all saw the video of him like bending the corner and getting under the tackle. And I was just like, this kid's a freshman. Like, it was crazy. Like, when he told us he was a freshman, we were all like starstruck. It was crazy. I've never seen anyone move like that before, especially that young. And so then when like the whole NCAA game came out, I played it for a little bit, but I'm not a big like play with teams. I'm more like create a player, put them on the team, then play with that player. But all my friends play it, and they're like, USC is the best team. We got we got Lenore Sellers, we got Dylan Stewart, and Nick Harbor. And Nick Harbor's 99 speed, 6'4", and they're like, he's a cheat code. Just throw it up to him, and we're fine. And so that's really how I knew the program the past year. And then when I entered, so my offensive line coach's name is Coach Darlington, and he was at Oklahoma when Coach Beamer was at Oklahoma. And so they really knew each other very well. And so when I told him that USC was interested in me, he was telling me all about Coach Beamer, telling me how good of a person he is and how that would be a very good opportunity for me to play for him. And so that's really all I knew about South Carolina. I didn't really know where in South Carolina USC was until we visited, and so that's about all I knew.
So when you first got on campus, I know you said that you guys were like, wow, this place is, bigger than what I'm used to. But aside from like the size of it, when you got a chance to go look at things, whether it's the stadium, the indoor facility, the ops building, the weight room, like talking to the coaches, like what all stood out? Like what were your first impressions?
I mean, going from the two schools I came from and seeing the weight room and the stadium were just, it was crazy. I mean, like and the locker room too. Like at Houston Christian, the locker room, I think it was like a trailer home. Like it was like when it would rain, sometimes the rain would get through the ceiling. And so going from that to this, I mean, it's crazy. And the weight room, I mean, the old weight room that I would do, we probably had maybe 8 racks, and you wouldn't be able to work out with the entire team or even the offense only during that time. And so seeing the weight room was like, I just couldn't believe it. And obviously the stadium, I mean, the closest I can compare it is my high school stadium, because our high school stadium, we played as the district, and it's called Legacy Stadium. You can look it up. It's like a $96 million facility or stadium. It's huge. And then going to Houston Christian and Incarnate Word, you're like actually at a high school stadium. And then you go to this, and you're like, you forget how big SEC ball is and how like FBS ball is, and so it was.
How big was your high school stadium that you played in? Like, how many people did it seat?
I really couldn't tell you. I mean, we could look it up, but it's called Legacy Stadium, Katy, Texas. It's massive.
I think that's the first time, because honestly, like South Carolina doesn't recruit, as you know, lots of guys from Texas, like certainly not from high school. I really think that's the first time I've ever heard Williams-Brice compared to a high school stadium, and that would only happen in Texas. Like, yeah, I mean, that is hilarious. I actually can't. I see it here. Looks very nice, but I don't see. We'll have to double back to the people and give them.
Williams-Brice definitely is a lot bigger, I will say, but just from the overall standpoint of how big it is, like obviously the one back in Texas, like the high school, doesn't have all the concession stands all the way around, but just the seating and everything, it's crazy.
Yeah. So when you got into the portal, and we've got about 3 minutes before we got to hit a break here. If we run over, we'll hit it on the other side and kind of continue the conversation. But when you got into the portal, I know you mentioned you wanted to have a little bit of like a longer, you wanted to be in the portal initially for longer, right? But you don't have a long time. Like if you're in the portal, you have kind of like a finite window that you're in there. You don't have 2 years to get recruited by a school or whatever like you do out of high school. So what were you like really focused on? Like what were you saying? All right, I've got to find these 2 or 3 things very quickly and then kind of narrow it down. Like what were those factors?
I mean, the number one thing is definitely opportunity, because I mean, talking with the guys in the NFL, my coach that was in the NFL now, and all the recruiters I've talked to, it comes down to playing time. And so going wherever I would go, I wanted to make sure I at least have the opportunity to get the starting spot and to get playing time, because that's what you need to get to the next level. And then the next thing was development. I mean, coming from the schools that I did, they were very limited in a lot of the resources they had, especially like nutrition. And so I was really looking to go somewhere that had those things that would get me stronger, that would get me faster, and would just put me in that environment so that I could, work harder and really get to where I wanted to be. So those were really the 2 biggest things that I was looking for when I entered the portal.
What sold you on that? I don't know if "sold's" the right word, but what convinced you that like South Carolina's the best spot for me? Can you point to a conversation or a moment, or just like how did you come to that decision?
I mean, I had a great conversation like with Coach Teasley. I mean, we sat down and we met and talked about football for like an hour and a half, and my girlfriend sat through it the entire time. Props to her, because that was crazy how long we were talking about football. But we had a great time talking with him, and I just really enjoyed being able to sit down and hear what he had to say and have him hear what I had to say, and how we would run things and how they run things. And just getting that overall connection was a very big thing for me. And then I would say one big thing that did help was, I mean, LaNorris Sellers. And it's because the fact that he's going to be a Heisman candidate, I mean, they're going to look at the dude that snaps the ball for him. And so being able to get myself out there while I help my teammates around me, I think that is just a very important thing that people really need to realize with getting to where they want to be. Is like, don't go somewhere that has so much money for you, but go somewhere that is where you're going to shine, but not only you, but you're going to help other people shine as well. Because at the end of the day, we want our brothers to go where we also want to go. And so LaNorris, I think he's going to be great this year. And I think, snapping for him would be a huge thing for me.
Good stuff there. And you mentioned your brothers. That reminded me of Luke Day, who we're going to talk about on the other side and talk about the strength program a little bit. Got to take a quick time out, but right back on the other side, more with Nolan Hayes.
If you're out there looking for a local, reliable HVAC service for your home or your business in the Midlands, reach out to our friends over at Krantz Cooling and Heating, KrantzCooling.com, Krantz, cooling with a K, KrantzCooling.com, or give Justin Krantz, the general manager over there, and his team a call, 803-755-0793. I've had Krantz Cooling out to my home several times. They did a mini split for me in the garage. They've checked out all the other units at my house to make sure they're running in tip-top shape. Love my experience so much that when my mom moved to Irmo, I got them to go out to her home too. They put in 2 mini splits for her. They handle all her HVAC needs as well. They can do the same for you. KrantzCooling.com or 803-755-0793. Since 1983, Krantz Cooling, their team has been providing great service to business owners and families in the Midlands. They can do the same for you.
All right, welcome back in. It's Chris Clark, The Game. I'm hanging out with Nolan Hay from Gamecock Football, talking about year one in Columbia after transferring in from Incarnate Word. And Nolan teased it right there before the break. You mentioned the strength program. I can't even remember the adjective you used right at the beginning of the show there, but Luke Day and the strength program. So a lot of guys who are being recruited, like out of the portal, out of high school, talk to us about how they're impressed with the nutrition program with Yemi Rodriguez and with Luke Day and Chip Morton and the strength program, Jameel Walker, their entire staff. And it seems like, or at least my perception is, they do things a little bit differently here at South Carolina. You've got Luke Day talking about gait patterns and, all sorts of stuff like that. You got some unconventional stuff. Walk us through like what you've thought of the strength program, and have there been any moments where you've been like, wow, this is a little different?
It's very different. I've never really experienced anything like this with any other school. And I really enjoyed the program, the lifting and weight room program back in Incarnate Word, but going here, it's different. Like here, you're not really going to lift as many weights, but here you're going to do so many, like you are going to lift weights, but doing all these mobility exercises and a lot of 4-point crawls and getting yourself into all these uncomfortable positions so that you can be comfortable in them for later in the season and stuff. And it's very different. Like usually this is the stuff that we do for contact prep at other schools, and that would only be for a week long, but doing this every single day for however long I will be here for, like it's taxing on your body, but then you feel great like later in the day. And so it is very different, but I think it's a good different.
What have you haven't been here obviously for that long. You can't say, well, I've been here a year and I've seen this, but like, do you notice any differences in, whether it's like your body composition or like weight gains or losses that you wanted to have, or just your mobility, flexibility, athleticism, like anything that you can point to so far?
Definitely my arms. My arms have gotten a lot bigger. And I feel like I am moving a lot quicker, and I'm moving a lot quicker and I'm getting heavier. Like I came in around 310 and now I'm constantly around this 316 area. And that's like good weight though. That's not even like fat or anything. Mm-hmm. And that comes another point with like the nutrition is like being able to eat good food 2 to 3 times a day. It's like, it really helps with your growth and just making sure that your body's in the best position and feeling the best for the next day. And the program, the whole strength and nutrition is phenomenal over here.
You were talking earlier about potentially snapping the ball to Lenora Sellers, and you've played, 3 or 4 positions at your previous stops? You played 4 overall? I know you've played 3.
I've played 4.
Yeah, okay, 4. So, where does it look like you may settle in? I mean, I know Coach Teasley does some cross-training of his guys, right? Mm-hmm. But do you have a sense of like, hey, these 2 spots or this one may be my primary? Like, where have you landed on that so far?
I am a versatile guy, and so it's kind of hard to say, but I would say he really wants me at center. I think that's I would give the most of the team from center. I just think that's like physically the best position for me. And I mean, I'm a pretty like, I like to say that I'm a high IQ in football. And so being able to run the show and telling people what to do and stuff from that center spot, I think that's where he's been putting me at and working me at the most. So I would say center, but I have worked guard. Guard depth is like we have a lot of guards and not as many centers, and so I would stick to center for now, but I can move around.
Tell us about some of the other offensive linemen that like have been around here before you got here. Is there anybody that has maybe helped just show you the ropes of some things, whether it's hey, here's how we do this, or just being able to kind of follow their lead a little bit as you've gotten integrated into the program?
Yeah, I would say Tro for sure. Tro's helped a ton. Just making sure that I'm comfortable and that I know what I'm doing. And he's a very smart dude. I mean, he's played a lot of ball. He's played some ball these past few years. And then Kaysen, the right tackle, he's helped a lot too. Just he's been helping me like really settle in and just make sure I'm in the moment, focus on the right things, and at the same time like joking around with me a lot too. And another one is Boaz actually, and it's being the backup. It's like very hard for me because I'm a very competitive guy.
Yeah,
and it's hard for me to try to have a good relationship with the person in front of me. But Boaz he's a great dude, and I feel like I can go to him about anything. And he's a very smart person. But those three are probably the biggest ones that have helped me so far.
Some of these guys that you were watching tape on, you mentioned getting the tape of Dylan Stewart and, watching a little bit or playing as them on the NCAA football game, Nick Harbor, Lenoris, like, what's it been like just kind of seeing those guys in real life, so to speak? And, you guys will get out obviously on the practice field in preseason, you can see more, but just being able to see them and like their athleticism and the way they carry themselves.
It's very surreal, to be honest, just because, I mean, you played with them on a video game and now you're actually like hanging out with them all the time. But I'd say the biggest one is honestly like Lenoris has surprised me a lot. Like just like hearing about how much he like turned down and stuff, and hearing about how good of a player he is and seeing it on tape, you would think that he's like this just, I don't even know how you would explain it. Like you wouldn't think he is how he is. And he's honestly a very chill person. Like he's a very easy person to talk to. He's really not what you would think. Like he's just a really chill person. And then seeing athleticism for the other people, like today, actually, I mean, we saw Lenoris throw Nick a ball, and it was like a Hail Mary type of situation we were doing. And he got up so high, and it was pretty insane to see someone that tall get up that high. And I really haven't got to see much of Dylan because we're like offensive lines over here, defense lines on the other side of the field. Yeah, that's about what I've seen so far with them.
All right, we got to take another quick timeout, and on the other side, we're going to talk more with Nolan Hay from Gamecock Football. Close out things. All right, welcome back in. Chris Clark with Nolan Hay from Gamecock Football. Appreciate very much Nolan's time so far. What do you like to do when you're away from the field? I mean, obviously, like there's a lot that goes into being an SEC football player because it's not just show up and play. Like there's film study, there's nutrition, there's taking care of your body, eating, working out. But when you're not having to do football stuff, like what is it that you like to do?
I'm a big introvert. I'm very boring. I literally just like to sit inside and play video games or do my homework, or my girlfriend and I, we've been watching Love Island. So we've just been binge watching that, and we just chill. I love golfing. I'm not good at it, but I love it, and I'm trying to get better at it. So I'm big into that. We played this past weekend. She'll putt for me, and then I'll do all the other stuff. But I mean, yeah, I kind of do my own thing. I don't really go out like that unless like it's a team event or something. I love cars. Like I just got a 2020 Ram Rebel, and I'm trying to figure out what modifications I want to make to it. And so I'm big into like trying to make that truck look like nice and intimidating and stuff.
And you do the work yourself on that?
I don't. I wish I did, because my dad's a man. Like I want to be like my dad because he knows everything about trucks. He's an engineer.
Yeah.
He does all like if you were to see my backyard, you would think it would be done professionally, but it was all him. Like he's done literally everything for our house. And I just want to be able to do that kind of like manly things and like cut the wood and all that kind of stuff. And I want to be like that. And so I really wish I knew more of how to do things on the truck, but it's more just finding out what looks cool and buying it and having someone else put it together.
Yeah, you're like the not that you're more of like the theoretical, like this looks cool, let's have somebody. I'm the same way, man. Like my dad who's passed away now, like I think he would have preferred if I was a little bit more like mechanically inclined, and I went a little bit I went a little bit more the other way of like being a little bit more like artsy tech type of dude. But hey, that's okay. We need all those type of people, you know. So no problem. So big Love Island guy.
Yeah, we didn't want to get Peacock for a while, and so we were watching like the UK Molly May. Actually, it was the Molly May Tommy Fury episodes, because she loves Molly May, and we watched the documentary for them a few months ago, and so we were like, we'll finish it. Why not? We'll keep watching. And then I was like, I keep seeing these things on TikTok. Everyone's talking about it. I'll get Peacock, and we'll watch the USA version of this season. And so I think we're on like episode 4 now, but I know there's already a lot of episodes out, so we need to catch up.
Okay. I don't know, man. If you recommend it, I'll take your recommendation, run it by the wifey. Maybe we'll do a little Love Island watching. It's not, I don't know.
It's a lot of drama. I feel like it's more of like our generation thing. It's like, people my age, they love drama, and there is so much freaking drama in that show. And so
that does sell.
If your wife is into that kind of thing, then this is right up y'all's alley.
Okay, I might check it out. You got any other recommendations, by the way? Like anything you finished that is good?
Depends on what you're into, because I'm big, like, I love Stranger Things. I've been waiting on it to come out.
Yep.
Still upset that they've taken so long. But I'm really all over the place. I just watched Invincible. I binge watched all of Invincible like in a 4-day span. Watched all of the seasons, and they're like an hour and 15 minutes long. They're long, and that took. I can't believe I watched that in 4 days. That was very good. And that new season is going to take forever, I'm pretty sure. And another one I'd probably say is The Boys. Now, The Boys is just, it's very graphic.
I've heard it's very dark and very
unbelievably graphic, but it's just like once you start watching, you can't stop, even though it looks awful. Like, the entire show is pretty cool in my opinion, but I can see how people would be like, no, I'm not watching that.
Yeah.
But to me, I can't stop watching it once I start.
You're not the first person who's mentioned the boys to me, so okay. We can't talk about the contents on the radio. We'll get fined, but yeah. But all right. So here's something. I mean, we got to talk about food and insert offensive lineman joke here. But
Okay.
you know, you were talking about nutrition earlier. But what are some of your staples? Like, if you get to eat what you kind of want to eat, right? Like, what are some of your go-tos, your faves?
You know, the Houston area and the San Antonio area, they are huge on Tex-Mex and Mexican. And so every year for my birthday, I always go to this place called El Rancho in Katy, Texas. It's a family-owned business. And I've been going there for 13 years. I missed this past one. But it's okay. But I'm kind of biased. It's not the greatest Mexican food, but like we've been going there for so long.
Yeah,
but
tradition.
The reason I bring it up is because birria tacos are probably one of my favorite foods ever, and they are so good down there. And really, all Mexican food down in Texas is fantastic. And coming up here, I was a little disappointed. Not the greatest, from what I've heard. I haven't tried it yet, but the Mexican food is not that good up here. And so I'm hoping I can find a spot. I'm hoping someone has some sort of recommendation.
I got you.
I freaking love Mexican food. So if I can get a spot, I would very much appreciate that.
As soon as we hop off here, I've got a couple recs going through my head, including a spot that's got some good birria tacos. Okay. And my colleague over at Gamecock Central, Wes Mitchell, is a huge birria taco lover, to where he is kind of on a quest for the best birria tacos in the country. Right now, his leader is a random food truck in Jacksonville, Florida.
Okay.
Which, I mean, birria tacos from a food truck, that does sound good, you know? Yeah. So I'll make sure to give you some recs. But
okay. I'm excited for that. We've been trying to find something.
We'll get it going, man. But
I'd probably say, I mean, barbecue. I mean, barbecue has been very good up here from what I've had so far.
Yep.
But I mean, obviously, from being from Texas, the barbecue is fantastic down there. I'm a big sausage and brisket guy.
Yeah.
Obviously, steak is up there, and ribs. My girlfriend makes some great ribs, and we actually had that yesterday. But barbecue. Love barbecue.
Yeah, you're speaking my language for sure. All right, Nolan. Well, we're out of time, unfortunately, man. I really appreciate you taking some time to join me today, and wishing you all the best of luck. Looking forward to following what you do here at South Carolina.
Well, thank you. I appreciate you having me.
All right, it's Nolan Hay from Gamecock Football. Next up, Gamecock Central Takeover Hour here on The Game.
If you are looking for a reliable local roofing company to help your home or business with your roofing needs, check out our friends at Classic Roofing. Joe Reeder, Max Sawyer, our guys, friends of the program here. They can help you take good care of your roof. That can be challenging, but you don't have to do it alone. They have years of expertise under their hats. They're a local company. Again, their families live right here in the Midlands. And the guys at Classic Roofing are GAF certified roofers. Only about 7% of roofers nationwide even have that certification. They can do inspections, installations, replacements, and repairs on your roof. You can visualize your new roof and what it would look like at classicroofingsc.com. You can check out their reviews and get a free estimate there. classicroofingsc.com, or give them a call, 803-590-7870. That's the reliable roofers over at Classic Roofing.
11 o'clock, welcome in Gamecock Central Takeover Hour presented by Firehouse Subs. Todd West Chris along with you here on your Tuesday morning on The Game. Chris, good to have you join us for the first time this week. How we doing?
Doing good, guys. It's only been one day.
Yeah, well, thankfully for you, Wes has not closed the gap on you with the, Wes has not extended his lead with the
I was about to say, hold up. First of all, I missed multiple days last week.
You did, and Chris did not close the gap
not closed at all. So it has been one day.
You guys were in the rhythm for a while.
I know. Well, you switched it up on us, which...
I did hear, I get regular updates on the questions if I don't get a chance to listen. So I did hear yesterday.
Oop. Is Chris still there?
He didn't hear it.
Okay, there he is. There he is.
I'm here.
Go ahead.
I do get regular updates on the questions, and wifey quizzed me on the question from yesterday, and I missed it.
Okay, I was gonna ask if you thought you could have gotten it right.
No, I know I couldn't have.
Yeah, fair enough.
I did pull an obscure, like, old school USC coach, but it was not the right one.
Okay,
so
fair enough. Before we get into today's question, again, Wes and I talked about this yesterday, but obviously news over the weekend will revolve around Landon Duckworth making his commitment to South Carolina on Friday night. Again, this is something that we've talked about a lot in the weeks and days leading up to what happened on Friday, but your thoughts now that he is officially recommitted to the Gamecocks?
Yeah, I mean, it was a fascinating recruitment. First of all, I think it's a huge get for South Carolina because this is a guy that kind of look back on his quarterback recruiting. You had different elements in terms of staff changeover, right? You had Jody Wright originally recruited Landon Duckworth to South Carolina after his freshman season of high school, as we talked about last week. You had Dow Loggins on staff at that time. Now neither of those guys are on staff, right? But South Carolina really stayed engaged here. You also had, another changeover that I think people probably don't talk about enough. You had Darren Usher, the director of player personnel and recruiting at South Carolina, was also not on staff. But then lo and behold, you get Darren Usher on staff, and he's a guy that has a lot of ties in the state of Alabama because of his time at Auburn, So you have that, and Shane Beamer staying really consistent with this recruitment. You have Landon Duckworth keeping an open mind. We all knew that when he committed so early in that class that this thing would not be over. It didn't necessarily mean that he was 100% going to decommit, 100% going to reopen the recruiting process, but you knew that others would continue to offer him and come after him, and that ended up happening. But both sides stayed consistent and kept a good relationship, and that led us to where we are now. I think when you look at the on-field impact, this guy, the first thing that stands out is just how athletic he is. Wes talks about it a lot. You can turn on his huddle if you're looking for his football highlight tape. You're just as likely to run into his dunk highlight reel for basketball. You look at the rushing numbers, you turn on the tape on the football field, and you see some plays that, while he's a different type of player, obviously, than Lenora Sellers, he's a different size. You see some plays that honestly remind you a little bit of number 16 in just terms of the escape ability that he has, the athleticism that he has. But I think it gets a little bit lost that this guy's a really, really good thrower of the football, right? He broke the 4A state title game record last year. His passing yards, his high school team, who was evidently really good, they won the state title 69-6. So they're pretty good. But he put up huge numbers all year. And one of his coaches at his commitment ceremony even mentioned that, like, hey, it gets lost. This guy's one of the best throwers in the country. And I think the tape, the numbers, and even if you look at his performance at the Elite 11 earlier this year, it backs all that up.
Yeah, absolutely there. So good get for South Carolina in the 2026 class. We'll dive a little bit more into the specifics of the 26 class coming up here in just a moment. But we do have to hit our daily trivia question. 40 days until kickoff against Virginia Tech. You guys have any idea what the topic of 40 days is going to be? Take a guess.
I mean, Are you going Eric Norwood?
I am going Eric Norwood.
It better be Eric Norwood. And I'll go ahead and say I have actually studied very hard for this one.
All
so
right,
of course
okay.
you'll ask one of the questions that I have not studied, I'm sure.
Let me ask
But
what
I've tried to come prepared today.
I was going to say, what areas of study have you focused on with Eric Norwood specifically?
You can't
All of
change
them.
the answer.
I'm not
going to
change. I'm not going to change
Yeah,
it.
yeah,
I just wanted. I just wanted.
Thank
I just
you,
want to know
thank
what
you.
Chris was looking at.
All of it. I
All of
looked
it?
at all
Okay.
of it, Tyler.
All right.
Yeah,
all right.
all
We'll
of
see if that's true here in
Well,
a second.
All right. The question is, Eric Norwood, all-time sack leader in 2008. He had 9 total sacks on the season. What game did he record 3 of those sacks?
Oh my
Kentucky.
gosh.
Chris, did you study that part?
Give me the season again. You
Two-
said 2007.
2008 was his most productive year. 9 sacks. 3 of those occurred in one game. Who was that against? Western Kentucky.
Yeah, I mean that's probably right. Yeah, I mean I can't do the same. I can't do the same answer as Wes. I mean, I just feel like that's just.
Well, I said
just
it. I
wrong.
said it first. So if you, even if
Right,
you
you
did,
said
I
it
feel
first, even if I did get it.
like you
So
wouldn't get credit. So it might not be right. I
let me-
actually don't know.
yeah, let me guess just for the fun of it. I'll guess Georgia, just for the fun of it.
Okay. Neither one is correct. The correct answer is Arkansas. 3 sacks against Arkansas in 2008. Let's see. He had no sacks against Kentucky or Georgia that season, actually.
Wow.
So,
Okay. Wes, you're very confident too.
Well, I just
You're about to
I
nail
thought you
that.
were going to say Kentucky very quickly because I just assumed that day that he just like bodied Kentucky that he had 3 sacks, but I think that was actually in 2007.
Yes,
that's the
now
day
that-
he had
that was 2007, and he had. I mean, that was one of like Tyler. I was joking. You literally were going to pick the only thing I didn't study. Like I even went through the game log. I'm like, all right, what big games could Tyler ask about? Clearly, I didn't get that one. But Kentucky, he had that year. He had, I believe, 2 fumble returns for touchdowns in that game.
yeah, so I actually was going to ask about that. But here's the thing, because, and this is per Wikipedia, it says he tied the NCAA record for most fumble return touchdowns in a single game, but I could not confirm if that record still stood or not. So I was not going to ask if I could not confirm that.
Well, you
But
could have
Chris-
said at the
Chris,
time.
you were on the right track.
Could have said at the time.
At the time, yes. No, like I knew. I mean, I'm just very frustrated. I knew the tackles for loss record. You know, like what's the number that he got? I knew his number of sacks. I knew his number of sacks broken out by season. I studied some of the games. I knew the 2 games that he had his only 2 career interceptions in. Like I had it covered, but obviously not well enough. Like a Houdini, Tyler.
You never know. When you come up with all the answers, I change the questions. That's how this
I
works.
know. Or you were going to change the question earlier, but Wes stopped you.
No,
so.
I was not. I was going to keep with it. I just
Wish
wanted
you
to know
would've-
what you were looking at.
Wish he would have succeeded. Yeah, if he would have succeeded, maybe I would have gotten it right. So,
Any suggestions for 39 tomorrow?
Oh, yeah.
Demetrius Smalls.
All right.
no, I was going Leonard Stafford questions.
Okay.
Yeah,
all right.
a lot of Leonard Stafford question.
I got one. No points awarded. I just want to see if Chris can get this,
Okay.
or you, Tyler,
Okay. Sure.
without looking. Where was Eric Norwood born?
Chris, you want to go first?
Well, this is probably a trick question. So he went to, I think, North Cobb. I always get North and South Cobb mixed up. From Ackworth, went to, I think, North Cobb. Was it Japan?
No, it was not. It was not.
He was born in Georgia, right?
Wasn't he born out of the country though?
Well, according to his profile, no.
For some reason, I must be mixing him up. I really thought that he was.
Go. Let's let Tyler go.
All right. In Georgia, I'm gonna go Marietta.
Okay, so Chris was a little bit. Chris's brain was going to the right place in that. He was always listed, like, even on his Gamecocks online bio, his hometown was in Georgia.
Okay.
I don't know if I ever knew this. He was born in Oakland, California.
Oh.
So, he spent his formative years in Ackworth / Kennesaw, North Cobb High. But actually, according to his NFL.com bio, he was born in Oakland.
Why do you think I think he was born? I think what happened is I got my wires crossed and thought about another Gamecock player who was born overseas, either because of whatever reason it may have been, military or something else. And then you asking that clearly means he was not born in Georgia. And so I just commingled the two.
Well, it wasn't worth any points. It didn't cost you anything.
Now how I came up with Japan, I couldn't tell you.
It's the Chris Clark brain.
No.
Yeah, it was
on display for everybody.
It was worth a shot. You tried. That's what matters. But yes, we are Eric Norwood days away from kickoff. 40 days till the Gamecocks and the Hokies square off. Obviously, a lot of focus on recruiting these past couple of days, especially with the Duckworth commitment on Friday night. How does the 26 Gamecock class stack up to the recent ones under Coach Beamer? We'll dive into that coming up next. It is the Gamecock Central Takeover Hour presented by Firehouse Subs here on The Game.
All right, folks, you know it. This show brought to you by our friends over at Firehouse Subs. Hit them up today. Hit them up right now for your lunch, firehousesubs.com, or do what we do, get the Firehouse Subs app. Hopefully you already got it downloaded. You created an account, and you've been getting points every single time you order. Hit that Rapid Rescue to go. Go ahead, lock in your lunch, either with one of your classic favorites or try something new, something that's back, the barbecue triple stack. Piled high with slow smoked brisket, honey ham, smoked turkey, all topped with melted cheddar, sweet and tangy slaw, smoky barbecue sauce, and mayonnaise, all served hot on a toasted sub roll. They have that one that is back from last year. Also, a brand new version of it, the Carolina Gold, which has a mustard-based barbecue sauce with all those same toppings. Whatever your favorites, they got something for you. And Hot Sauce Bar, as we've been telling you, it's back at Firehouse Subs. Hit them up right now with the app or firehousesubs.com.
Welcome back in. It is the Gamecock Central Takeover Hour presented by Firehouse Subs. Ty West Chris along with you here on your Tuesday on the game. Reminder, coming up on Thursday, Jay and Terry going to have the post-game show live out at the Nest at 1331 Gadsden Street from 3 until 6 p.m. Go by and see those guys hang out and see all the great things that the Nest does have to offer. Again, we are talking a lot of recruiting as the summer rolls along, and again, the Gamecocks got a nice string of commitments here in the past couple days, and Kevin Miller over on GamecockCentral.com put up a pretty interesting write-up yesterday afternoon, kind of stacking up where the 26 class compares to prior classes under Shane Beamer, and a lot of things to dive into here. But I think perhaps the most notable thing to take as the biggest point in the overall takeaway, when it comes to the 26 group, currently standing, it has the best blue chip ratio of any of South Carolina's classes in this current era. Again, it's a smaller class, but is predominantly made up of, including Landon Duckworth on Friday night, a lot of four-star talent.
Yeah, it is. And, obviously, I think one of the big takeaways here is that they have been, and they always have to an extent, but they have been swinging for highly rated guys. And, I think in this new era, you have to approach your roster building a little bit differently. And, I think you're still willing to take the evaluation guys, that aren't as highly recruited, especially if it's a situation where a guy's maybe a late bloomer. Maybe you feel like you just have a great read on a guy. Maybe it's an in-state kid. You feel like you have more information than anyone else. I think if you really want to dive into it, Chris, there's a difference even, it could be to the outside world, look like an identical kid. Like, let's say he's a mid 3-star. And to the outside world, you're just taking a mid 3-star. Well, even internally, we got to remember, hey, they're doing their own boards. So in the past, I think maybe there's a sense before the transfer portal became just involved in everything, if you miss on a couple of your top guys, then you maybe go to the next spot on your board and you're willing to maybe take a chance on a guy that's you internally, you would never say this externally, but even internally you're going, this guy's maybe not as good as the guy we missed out on. On the other hand, like nowadays, I think you can still take that mid 3-star guy that you feel like is a great evaluation on your part, but I don't think you have to drop down and take a guy just to take a guy in today's era because you feel like, I'll always just go make it up in the transfer portal at that position if I have to.
Yeah, it's a great thought, and I totally agree. You also look at, the portal rankings, right, can be, tough. High school rankings to a large degree are a crapshoot, but especially with the transfer portal, Carolina's had success with all types of those guys. They've recruited the big-time transfer guy. Spencer Rattler, right? He was one of the top transfers in the country. Juice Wells was a pretty highly rated guy in terms of a transfer, even though he's coming from James Madison, even though he didn't blow up the way that some other guys did. He was a big name transfer. South Carolina's also gotten some guys who were certainly more under the radar. Demetrius Knight would qualify, right? Even a Kyle Kennard, he was wanted by thought of transfer, but nobody was sitting there saying, all right, whoever gets this team is getting the Nagurski winner, right? So I think to your point, Wes, you've got time to you've got the ability to go supplement in the portal. That can lead to, some rankings discrepancies. Even though they try to count transfer portal rankings, sometimes it can be kind of hard to slot those guys, even though they have college production and, it's not just based on potential in high school. And you've got time to develop those guys, right? In the past, if you drop down a level and you take a guy who maybe is not at the top of your board, you're counting on him to contribute, especially if you're taking at a position where, say, hey, we're going to need some freshman help here. Well, before the transfer portal, you're dropping down a level, and then you've got to go get that guy ready pretty much instantly. Well, now you don't have to do that. So if you're bringing in a guy who's more of a developmental guy, you actually can take time and develop them.
And one area that, and Kevin Miller noted on this as well in the story, that obviously South Carolina has been very heavy on when it comes to both recruiting from the high school ranks as well as hitting the portal, is the offensive line. And this is making 3 straight recruiting classes where you brought in multiple blue chip offensive lineman prospects, and that's obviously an area that has been of concern these past couple of years with the Gamecocks. That, again, you're kind of trying to find that right combination of obviously developing guys, getting to be able to play at the level of the SEC, but also having to supplement and bring in talent where it's needed via the transfer portal, like we've seen a lot of this past offseason as well. I just replayed Chris's interview with Nolan Hay, in the past hour, and he's another guy that, coming up from the SCS level, trying to fill some needs and provide some depth on the offensive line, where it's needed.
Yeah, and I think that's one of those spots where, for one, you're always going to have to take more numbers there just in general than other spots, because you got to try to find 5 guys that can go play. So, and even if you batted 1,000 on your evaluations, you're going to have, which you're not going to at that spot, but you're going to have guys get hurt. You're going to have guys get banged up. You have guys that just aren't ready yet. So you have to take big classes on the O-line, I think, if you're going to have any success. And, I think they have recruited, at least on paper, so well out of the high school ranks that this is the year where those guys have been in the program for a minute now. So you're going to want to start to see that pay off. We saw a mix of it last year, obviously, where you talk about having a Josiah Thompson, a Kason Henry, Vershawn Lee, 3 starters who were high school guys. But then you look at your 2 guard spots with Torricelli Simpkins and Kamar Bell, where you're talking about supplementing via the transfer portal. And so I think it's harder than ever to keep guys on campus when they aren't playing. So we've already seen, for example, like a Cam Pringle. He was a highly recruited high school guy, transferred out. So the idea of just keeping an offensive lineman for 3 or 4 years and them developing and not playing a ton, that doesn't work for every kid. So I don't think you'll ever get completely away from going to the portal on the offensive line. But I do think in terms of the upside, the foundation of your line, you've got to recruit the guys like a Zion Giles, who they have in this class, like a Kamari Blair, who's already committed in this class, and like a Darius Gray, who I think South Carolina is quietly in a really good spot with. If you're going to recruit high school offensive linemen, these are the type of guys you want to add, because you can always supplement your interior kind of guard guys with solid players out of the portal. I think it's very difficult. We've talked about this a lot. It's very difficult to get upper echelon tackle prospects on the offensive line out of the portal.
Very expensive, very competitive for tackles, and honestly, just not a lot of them. You go through and look every cycle. Wes, you're honestly one of the first people to bring this up. It's a great point that just not a lot of those guys, and typically if they're good enough, they're going to be a massive priority for the school that they're at to keep them. And then if they're good enough and they're of age, they can just go pro, right? You've seen even in South Carolina, they've had more success going and grabbing interior guys, a Nick Gargiulo, Torricelli Simpkins, Kamar Bell. I mean, some of the guys that we've seen come in here and factor in. And I think some fans get frustrated sometimes when they see, hey, why are we going to the portal again? What about some of these guys that have been around the program a while? And if you can thread the needle between keeping guys on campus and happy and engaged, like a Tro Ball, for instance, who, he played and started as a true freshman, a Tree Babalade, same thing. And their playing time honestly took a step back last year, but they were still competitive. They were still in the mix. And Carolina brought in a couple guys and let the best man win for last year. But you've also kept those guys on campus and engaged. And I think they're going to be better for it because they've played. They've waited their turn in some instances. They've had both of those experiences. And you're going to continue to build depth through the portal and go from there. But, yeah, offensive line's a position where, especially at the tackle spots, you'd love to get guys in through the high school ranks and be able to develop them It is hard. You're right, Wes, to keep guys, especially if it's a position where, they have the ball in their hands, which offensive lineman, except for center, is not. It's harder and harder to keep guys engaged. And even schools who have typically recruit extremely well year in and year out, like Georgia and Kirby Smart, they talk about what a challenge it is to build depth in this era because, yes, you can supplement in recruiting through the portal, but you're also going to lose guys every year. And if you can retain, which South Carolina's done very, very well, that's going to help with your overall experience on your team and your overall depth too.
Yeah, I think when you're talking about high school guys, these upside offensive linemen, and that doesn't mean they're not already really good football players, because especially in the case of like a Zion Giles, a Darius Gray, you are talking about two really good football players. But I think your portal, you're definitely going for impact and depth, and hey, can this guy step in and help us in some way this year? When you look at your high school recruiting, I think you want to have a very high standard for the guys you're going to take at that position. And, you do have in this class a little bit more of a developmental guy in Anthony Baxter. But, again, you look at the other guys that they're either strongly in the game with or they have committed. I mean, Zion Giles, he is one of these prospects where there's not a agreement among the various sites on where he should be ranked, but Charles Power, who we talk about a lot on the show, normally ahead of the curve, he has him ranked the number one interior lineman in the country. So if you're South Carolina, at least according to the Rivals rankings and Charles Power, you're talking about you have committed the number one interior lineman, and you have a great shot at getting the number two interior offensive lineman in Darius Gray. So especially the inside guys too, like if you're going to get an inside guy out of the high school ranks, make it an elite guy, because otherwise you can fill those holes through the portal with the interior guys.
You can read Kevin Miller's full write-up on that over on GamecockCentral.com. Realignment may not be done. One school desperately trying to get into the Big 12, but the Big 12 not exactly letting them in. Tell you who that is coming up next. It's Gamecock Central Takeover Hour, presented by Firehouse Subs here on the game. Welcome back in. Gamecock Central Takeover Hour presented by Firehouse Subs. Tyler West, Chris, along with you here on your Tuesday on the game. Have y'all gotten enough of conference realignment over these past couple of years?
I've got more than I mean, if we never hear that phrase again, it'll be too soon. I don't know about y'all, but I still cannot keep up with who is in what conference, and unless
should I quiz you guys on who's in what conference?
No, absolutely not. I will walk out. I know who's in the SEC. I think I know who's in the Big Ten.
Okay,
but then when you start getting, out. I mean, I don't know if I know who was in the Big 12 anymore. Like it is very difficult to follow for, even if you are in this stuff every day. So I know for the casual fan, I don't know how you keep up with it.
Chris, what about you?
Wes, you can't name all the teams in the AAC.
It's just the AC now.
Well, it's not the AAC anymore, so.
Yeah. Excuse me. Yes. Well, there you go. Right. I mean, that just illustrates the point. Yeah.
Speaking of the American Conference, now that they've dropped the Athletic, one of their bigger, more prominent schools, University of Memphis, is actually trying to join the Big 12, and kind of similar to what SMU did do a couple years ago with joining the ACC. They're trying to come in and pay their way, essentially. They proposed to the Big 12 to bring in roughly about $150 million in sponsorship revenue. They were agreeing to not take any TV revenue for up to 5 years, the final 5 years of the current Big 12 TV deal. And they put in a caveat, if the Big 12 does not believe they're adding value to the conference by the end of 2031, they will allow them to kick them out of the conference. So it seemed like a no-risk situation for the Big 12, but yet up to this point, they've not approved it, and they don't have enough. They don't have enough positive votes from from the 16 schools to allow them in. So Memphis, still as of right now, stuck in the American.
Well, unless it was AI generated, I do believe Memphis tweeted today too how they were a proud member of the American Conference.
Yes.
So,
which is funny in hindsight.
So it really seemed like a strong offer for Memphis, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, but is there some like reverse psychology at play here? Like, you know how we're all three married at this point, but at some point we all had to be in the dating pool, and it is almost like in your mind, if somebody is like trying way, way, way too hard to present themselves, you're like, wait a second. Like in your brain, whether it's fair or not, you're going, why are they like pushing themselves so hard in this? And it almost is like, all right, if Memphis has to give up such a one-sided deal just to get in, then are they really bringing this much value to our conference? You know, if they were that valuable, wouldn't it be a little bit more of an even deal? I think so.
Yeah.
I feel like Memphis it was a low self-esteem offer to come in basically conceding everything right off the jump.
Yeah, I mean, the benefit for Memphis, makes sense because they want to move up the power. That way, when you look at revenue sharing, right, which is, I mean, you're going to need in this era to hit million this year, scaling as a percentage each year, of course, beyond that, you're going to need to be there to attract the top talent, and I think to do that, you need to be in a Power Four conference. So we know, and Ross Dellinger reiterated this in his piece that laid all this out for Yahoo Sports, Memphis, which is historically had, I mean, we all remember John Calipari, his time at Memphis. They've had some really good years from a basketball standpoint. They've talked to the East about the basketball program. Extended a term here, but no disrespect to the Pac-12, not a super alluring conference right now, even for a team that really, really clearly desperately wants to get into the Power Four. So the benefit's pretty obvious for Memphis as to why they would want to do this. But my question is, why does a source told Dellinger in his piece, hey, we've been added our last round of expansion and we chose to do that.
Yeah, it's certainly a concern when you talk about, Memphis and maybe something going on a little bit behind the scenes, talking about, in that Dellinger piece, maybe some concerns about the ability to consistently bring that money in. I know it's a proposal as of right now, but something that over the years that may not end up come to fruition as much as originally presented, because it's a top 50 media market. You mentioned their prowess in basketball. They're obviously one of the better G5 programs. It's always kind of in that conversation of making the college football playoff out of that rank. So it seems like everything at the surface level checks out. But again, these university presidents, the people that vote on these kind of things, maybe know something on the back channel that isn't quite as public as to why they're, not wanting to accept this. Because again, it seems like good offer to no risk for the Big 12, but not something that seems very likely at this point.
Yeah, I'm just wondering if there's a reason they just don't see the complete value from Memphis right now. And, I go back, if you were that valuable of an entity, would you have to make this many concessions right off the bat? Like you're basically begging them to take you. And you're saying, we'll give up this, we'll give up that. We'll do whatever it takes. And, it's almost like they're not really coming from a point of strength, which, in negotiation is a huge part of it. And so I don't know. We'll see. I mean, Memphis has been a pretty solid, consistently solid football program the last few years, but I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, well, we'll see what happens there. Continue to follow that and see if conference realignment continues to change as the years go by. We'll come back. We'll wrap up the hour. About a week from now, a little over a week from now, we'll have a new series on Netflix to binge revolving all around the SEC. We'll talk about that and the focus on South Carolina coming up next. It's the Gamecock Central Takeover Hour presented by Firehouse Subs on your Tuesday here on The Game.
as a little boy, teachers would ask, what do you want to be when you grow up? I'd say college football player.
The SEC is the greatest place in the world to play college football.
It's the SEC teams who are winning the national championship.
There's such small towns, maybe there's 30,000. But then you pull up to the stadium and there's 90,000 people.
If you play in this league, you will walk into the line.
Every kid in this state grow up dreaming to play for one of the universities.
Florida, Tennessee, Auburn, Alabama, LSU, all these teams are wrapped in the fabric of those communities.
Welcome back in. It is the Gamecock Central Takeover Hour presented by Firehouse Subs. Tyler West, Chris along with you on your Tuesday. That was a small snippet of the trailer for SEC Any Given Saturday, the new Netflix series set to come out on August 5th that will detail several teams, including South Carolina, and follow them across the 2024 football season, as gives you one more thing to kind of get you excited in the ramp up to the start of the 2025 season.
Man, I'm pumped. I told Tyler off air, and if you are a Netflix subscriber and you've been looking for something to get you to football season, the quarterback Netflix show, season 2, it is fantastic. And so, obviously, these are both under the Netflix Sports umbrella. I don't know if it's the exact same production team and all that, but if the quality of this one is anywhere close, and I didn't watch season 1 of Quarterback on Netflix, but I heard it was good, too. This one, they follow around Kirk Cousins, Joe Burrow, and Jared Goff, and just did a fantastic job with it so far. And I'm excited, man. I know they were like behind the scenes for some really big games, like in the locker room. Like I'm hoping, and I believe we will, like we're going to get some never seen before footage. You know, you get these to a lesser extent if you watch like the SEC Network. They have the one show a week where it's like behind the scenes from a particular game, and you're just hoping, you know, it was a good game and that there'll be some good stuff there. But I have very high hopes for this one. Let me say that.
Yeah, and Chris, when you look at the little poster art there, and I remember, I think a while back, they put out the official teams that were going to be at, and I know Georgia and Texas said they weren't going to take part in it, but you're going to follow teams like South Carolina, like LSU, like Auburn, like Florida. So, again, we should get maybe a little bit more insight and some behind-the-scenes looks at some things that happened with South Carolina last year. I imagine that LSU game is going to be prominently featured, since you know, both those teams are featured in this. And when you watch the little trailer there, you know, there's a clip of Beamer in the locker room. Debo Williams comes on at the very end. So maybe learn some things about our own team that we didn't know from a season ago.
Yeah, there was. I'm with you. I love the behind-the-scenes stuff, like the SEC inside pieces that they do every week. I know it's a different production, different network, but those are always cool for those reasons. You know, little behind-the-scenes glimpses, things that you won't normally see. So I think that's what we'll get here. And you know, a couple little nuggets about this. I think it was Tyler, 10 of the 16 SEC teams participated, or 12 of the 16.
I think. Yeah, one of those.
It was a majority, and so I wish it would have been all, obviously. But Shane Beamer seemed all for it. I remember he put out a statement a while back, you know, and like you guys said, they followed him around and captured some cool stuff. So apparently LSU and South Carolina are going to be featured prominently. That was said by the league at one point. And then another thing is I saw a release, I think Front Office Sports had this. I was reading it a while back, saying that the coaches were going to be featured pretty prominently in this stuff, which, you know, if you think about the SEC inside pieces, again, different production, different network, all that. But they do tend to show the coaches a lot and just how they run their program. So it seems like we'll get some pretty good behind-the-scenes stuff from Shane Beamer, if I had to guess, and it should be done pretty well. I'm excited about it, too.
Well, I think just like everything, here's another recruiting opportunity to put your program in front of tens of millions of more people and show some things behind the scenes, and not everybody knows about this. And obviously when you have success on the field to back that up, that makes it all that more enticing, I feel like.
Yeah, and I think so. Right now, this thing will get the attention probably of your, I don't want to say just your hardcore, but of your pretty strong SEC college football fans. I think the real sort of interesting thing to track will be there's something about Netflix shows where some of them, it's just like a little blip and then they're forgotten. And then some of them, they just get, it's almost like a viral moment on social media. Oh, man, you should check this out. You should check this out. And they kind of go viral. So, and then it becomes a thing where, like, everybody needs to check it out. And that, I believe, would result in maybe your more casual football fans or people that haven't really paid attention to all this stuff would start to watch as well. So I'll be curious to see what the reaction is. I have no doubt it's going to be entertaining for people like us, like, because you're getting that behind-the-scene look. You know, Last Chance U sort of took on a life of its own where you had people who didn't care about football recruiting that much were watching it as well. And it was one of those big kind of Netflix hits. So I'll be very curious to see just what the reaction is from the public as a whole. But again, man, if you're looking for something to kill your time, check out Quarterback in the meantime.
And Netflix does a really good job. You mentioned Last Chance U, the quarterback series, you know, things like Drive to Survive and Full Swing, where they manage to satisfy both that diehard fan that already knows the ins and outs and what's going on, as well as being able to kind of appeal to that casual viewer and really kind of suck everybody in. So I'm excited to see this. And again, it gives us at least a little bit of something else to watch for those last couple weeks as we desperately count down until the season starts at the end of August.
Wes, I would like to get your I saw you dropped a little note about this on Gamecock Central on the Insiders Forum. What's your quick assessment of the three quarterbacks on the current season? Got any thoughts? Rankings?
Yeah. Well, all right. So Burrow, like, that's a different cat right there. Like, that's a different dude. But very entertaining, very intriguing. Like, that was an outstanding get for them to get him on there. And so I've always kind of liked Burrow from afar, like him even more now. Jared Goff, you can't not be a fan of this guy. Like, just a incredibly likable guy, puts his heart into everything. The person I'm not sure about yet, Tyler, is Kirk Cousins. Like, he seems like a very nice guy.
Sure.
But it almost seems a little over the top to me. So I'm just like, is this real? Is this genuine? Like, is this who he is? I don't know. Cousins, I feel like, is actually at his peak was kind of underrated. I don't know. I'm about 4 episodes in, so I'll have to get back to y'all on that.
Okay. Yeah, we'll get Wes's constant updates on the quarterback series. And again, SEC Any Given Saturday coming up on August the 5th there on Netflix. We'll dive back in everything else coming up tomorrow. Coming up next is the Halftime Show with myself once again here on your Tuesday on the Game.